Welcome back to the Compassionate Capitalist Show. And I'm just going to jump right in because if you're watching, you can see her making her happy faces. I am happy to have Heather Havenwood back on the show. If you listened, I did a reboot of a podcast that we did a couple of years ago, but in honor of International Women's Day, because Heather is an incredible powerhouse for women entrepreneurs. And back then she had written a book called Sexy Boss, that's owning your femininity in a masculine workplace and being the power that we know we all are, as we are, queens and champions of being entrepreneurs and being the leaders of our lives. And so we were catching up the other day, and, it's just really quite amazing all the things that Heather has going on. She's, the things that I'm always, when I get her feeds and I get her announcements, but of course I said she was the bestseller Sexy Boss, but she's also the influencer tribe, UnCage, yes. Your influence, Stevie Award winner for most innovative woman of the year in 2020. And y'all remember what was going on in 2020. So that's pretty amazing that she got that award that year. She's the host of the top podcast, UnCaged, and she's got another one coming out she'll be talking to us about here in just a second. She's got the Entrepreneur Power Circle, the round table, and part of her mission and goal is to help 10,000 women to start and thrive running their own online business to create independence and financial freedom in their lives. Welcome, Heather Havenwood, back to the Compassionate Capitalist Show.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a couple of years, right? It's pre-COVID.
Yeah, it has.
Pre the world stopped.
Yeah, the year that we all lost. So except for you, because you got some additional recognitions and you have not stopped. And one of the nice things about having an online presence like you have is that everybody was back in front of their computers and all of that during that time. We did more computer time and more TV time than anybody cares to admit anymore. But when we were catching up the other day, she said she had got her newest thing was getting into NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So I said, wow, I am educating myself on that. And I know that my audience of entrepreneurs and investors would love to learn more about this really, in some cases, it's a mind-blowing concept, NFTs. If you thought Bitcoins and crypto was something that you didn't quite understand, buckle up, get out your pen and paper, because you're going to learn a lot today about NFTs. And she's gonna tell us here how she got into it, but and we're just stay tuned, be patient, because we will cover the basics. If all of that is Greek to you, we are going to be covering the basics of, how does this build on the value of what is a blockchain? So you'll get the basics of that and understand really where it go, why this is part of the wave of the future for digital value, and how it actually is different, yet you can see so much potential of where it's going to go when it comes to perceived value of art, and the way that it's going to protect artists, but also give value to entrepreneurs, people that have been creating tribes, people that have been creating memberships and like-minded folks, how this can be another level of value on that. There's just the whole idea of metaverse and the things that you've been starting to hear words about meta and things like that, and how this all comes together. So, I think
let's start in, because there's a lot of things wrong. I got to stop you because a lot of things you're saying is wrong. So I've got to stop.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. So I need you to know this is not about art. So as Gary Vee said, having NFTs for your business will be like having a website in 2005. It's a digital infrastructure.
Okay.
So NFTs will be the largest disruptor for businesses that we've ever seen in our lifetime. And we already had massive disruption. So it is less about art. It started off as art and it's moved into investment. but where it's going, it will be the largest disruptor in businesses worldwide. And it's already started.
Wow.
So it's a business disruptor. So 2 weeks ago here in Gulfport, Florida, which you know what that is, it's near Tampa, the first house was sold as an NFT. It took 1 day. It was 223 ETH. At that time, it was around $630,000. It was done via a wallet, no mortgage, no title, and it was completely sold in 24 hours on the blockchain. That is revolutionary. And so I've been in a mastermind 2 days ago with a mortgage broker, a title person, and a real estate agent. And they all think that they're looking for how NFTs are going to fit into their world. And what I try to tell them is your world is changing. Your world has to move into crypto and NFT. NFT and crypto is not moving into the old world. The old world is going to be gone, and there will be a new world, new regulations, new conversations, a new way of doing business. So it is going to be the largest disruptor in healthcare, in real estate, and coaching consulting we've ever seen.
Okay. I got that. But I think we need to clarify that blockchain is the disruptor. Crypto and NFT are applications on blockchain, just like smart contracts, supply chain. I mean, that was part of where, part of the thing that people know about crypto is the most known, and, Bitcoin and Dogecoin and those kind of things. But I've been following and been proponing that you got to separate the conversation of crypto from blockchain, because blockchain is the greatest disruptor, because it and things that consumers don't see, supply chain, smart contracts, real estate tracking, all of that stuff, right. Because it verifies everything in a digital context, that there is no way for fraud on that. And that's why it's changing the direction of business.
Do you remember that video by Katie Couric on the morning show? It's like 1999. And she literally asks the producer, like, hey, Paul, can someone tell me what the internet is? Do you remember that video? Right? Like, she's like, can someone tell me what the internet is? Right? And she literally is asking this on live TV. And so I was at this podcast 2 days ago, and this girl, she's, by the way, 25. She's a super sweet girl. She says to me, can you tell me where blockchain is?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what it is? Like, so we are at that, like the internet 1999, where someone's like, can someone explain to me where blockchain is? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah. Can someone, right? So you're right. Blockchain, I look at blockchain as like the HTML back in the day, right? It's the road. It's the infrastructure. And then on top of that, you have like HTML, we have websites, and we have softwares that are built on HTML, and different codes have come through time. Blockchain is a whole nother earth, if you will, that is revolutionary, as you said, because everything's trackable. And NFTs, that's why I love what Gary Vee said. He just posted this like 20 hours ago. It's a digital infrastructure, like a building on blockchain.
Right. So that's like, to put it in context of people that think about, okay, if people think back to Katrina, right, in New Orleans, one of the biggest challenges that they had back then was that people lost all records of property ownership. They lost a lot of this, besides just pictures and then things like that. But and so all of a sudden, a lot of states is saying, okay, we got to digitize all that stuff. Well, digitizing is just a static image of it. It doesn't verify ownership. It doesn't verify anything like that. Blockchain is something that nothing could destroy it. And you would always have the clear and accurate record of who owns it, who sold it, who did this, that, or the other within that asset of value, whatever that asset might be. Right? Is that right?
Okay. Yeah, that's way more. So it's like, I just love the analogy of back in 99, because you and I have been around then, right? It's like, what was email? Like, that was a revolution. Like, what do you mean you could just send something and like you have mail, like,
Yeah.
what, where did that come from? And like,
Oh,
how did that work? Well, that was HTML code, right? On this thing called the internet. And it was like freaking like, I don't understand that shit. Right. So that's what the blockchain is. It's just that next level.
oh yeah.
And it's literally like a brand new language that we are now building on.
Right.
And what I love about what Gary Vee said, a digital infrastructure, like I think it's brilliant because it really is like, now that you can understand it's an infrastructure that then you put something we call smart contract inside of the NFT, right? On the blockchain. So once that's done, then you can see the begin to start to understand the power of this infrastructure and the uses it can be used. So healthcare is a really easy one. So we can all eventually have, I think, an NFT with our name, our social, let's say, and all of our health information. So good or bad, you might not like that, but if you're in a car wreck or something happens to you, you can have, let's say, your will on there. You can have what they call when someone has to pull the plug, all that stuff. The smart contracts could be inside of the NFT and you cannot, not be able to communicate, and all that's handled. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the next level. Or a doctor can see every medication you're on or everything you've ever had. When you're sitting there, you can't speak to the doctor and tell him what's going on. He's dealing with basically blind here. So that's the level of it. But then you also have real estate and things like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, okay. Within that context, I'm going to play the devil's advocate because this is the kind of, most people are thinking of it, of NFTs, and they hear this, all these kind of crazy things with the, what is it? The yacht club and the Bored Ape Yacht Club and Pudgy Penguin and the New York Times, first article on NFT that sold for 500 and some odd $1,000 when they digitized it and all that kind of stuff. And here you are talking about, because I see that, it's like all your personal, your vault, if you will, right? You might have gotten that on Google. It says, oh, start your own little Google vault and put all your stuff in there, or on Microsoft. So people say, well, why? I mean, I can just give them that. Why can't, I can just give them a link. I have it up on my cloud. Why can't I just share that? Or it's in HIPAA or something like that. So why is it important? And why do you think it is like in the healthcare example you gave, that it's going to be within this NFT, and why is that going to be important?
Well, look, first of all, let me be a huge disclosure. I'm not a big fan of the healthcare industry as it stands in our world, especially in the big pharma world. However, I can see how when we move, right, when we move, our parents get older and we're dealing with like, what are they on? And like, what do they have? And like, who has the will? And did they ever do a will? Or the, I forgot, the cease or desist, like all these different things, the cease order, like, putting all that into an NFT, where it's what I call non-fungible. And what is a non-fungible token? Let's just break that down for a second.
Okay. So yeah, let's roll it back.
If you and I were hanging out again, like we met in Austin, we're hanging out at that awesome place, having a glass of wine. And I had $10 and you had $10 and mine was like perfect and crisp and beautiful or whatever, just minted by the lovely United States of America. And yours was like wet or something or whatever, got wet in your purse. And then we go to the bar, they're both going to take our $10 as equal because it's fungible. It's equal. That $10 and that $10 is equal, right? Non-fungible is almost like saying it's unique, right? It's unique and it's on the blockchain. And anytime anything's on the blockchain, which is technically a ledger, that anytime it kind of moves from your wallet to my wallet to a smart contract, it's like shown. You can almost, in a way, I look at like a plexiglass. I can see, anyone can see anything happening in the blockchain. So I can see what's happening. I might not have access to change it because that's the person who has access to the NFT, but I can, oh, here's what's happening, right? I can read the document. Let's say the will of an elder, things like that. So I believe in the healthcare world, we're going to have control, I believe, of our own health, where it's like Heather has my own NFT. And every time I go to the doctor, I place there, I agree to have the document on my NFT, right? I would love to see, I don't know about you, but I mean, I know that doctors sit there and do little they say their crap on their little thing in front of you, but I never see that. Do you? I've never seen that information. I've never seen my records. Have you? I mean, I've never seen it. I would have liked to see what the hell they're saying. So being able to actually see what the doctors say, see what actually is happening with our own bodies and healthcare, all on the non-fungible on our own NFT. I think there's a lot of power in that. I think there's a lot of self-power, right? It's about sovereignty. I think it's about decentralization. It puts the power back within us. It also allows, it takes away a little bit of the power of the doctors and allows us to look at how do we actually want to choose how our things are going with our body. Maybe that's not the doctor that we want to do based on the notes. I mean, like puts the power back inside. And that's why banks don't like this. This is 100% or semi 100% decentralized. However, the more decentralized we go as a society, the more centralized we want it because we are used to that. We're used to that. The problem is right now is that companies, governments, big pharma, they don't know how to control it. And I think that's where they're going to be a power struggle, right? That's what's going to happen, I think, personally. Private feelings on that.
Okay. So moving off of the healthcare, because was
let's go on a business.
That's a little it'll be interesting to see because of the triggers the contest is like, well, then does everybody have to have an NFT reader? Or, you got to have, everybody's going to have to create some kind of blockchain account so that they can read their own, and all the doctors have to have it. They can't just open up I can't just give them access or to a link to a folder that has that information, or I can't just go into the application.
This is where the opportunity lies for businesses. This is a business podcast. This is where opportunity lies for businesses to come in and figure out the solution to these. Right. This is where the opportunity lies, I think, for companies to be capitalized for, like, how do we do this? How do we actually use this thing called NFTs? Because it is brilliant in our industry. There's going to be a whole new industry of businesses that come in to figure it out, I think, personally. It's going to be interesting. Like Stripe, just as of 12, 15 hours ago, they just acknowledged that they're going to be Stripe is a merchant. They're going to be taking in crypto. That's a revolutionary.
Yeah. Well, Colorado just announced they're going to be paying. You can pay taxes with crypto now.
Yeah, that's revolutionary. It's revolutionary because you're dealing with Visa and MasterCard. My sister works for Visa. She's a VP of Visa. A VP. There's a lot of VPs. She's a VP of Visa. And we talked about, like, where are they at with it? Now, Visa is very progressive. They already know that this is coming and they are putting their hands in there. They're already doing a Visa coin-based check card, like they already there. So they will be getting their money. You know what I'm saying? And so just to give you a context, or just to give people a context, if I sent you right now, okay, 1 ETH, so technically that's around $2,700. I need to check on that exactly today. So let's say I send you 1 ETH. Okay. Depending on the gas prices, or earlier today, the gas was around 83. That's going to cost me technically, right, like $9. Okay. If I send you $2,000 through Stripe, which is a merchant, which is about 3.25%, that will cost you, really, because you only receive $94. So you'll lose $94 if you charge me $2,000, right? So look at the difference. That's massive difference. $94 versus like $9.
The reason for that is because the cost of verification, I mean, the 3.5% has just been an industry standard forever. So is it just that within the crypto world, the digital world, it just costs less? So they're not, because does this go into the whole thing of having all of the, because they talk about the there's a high cost of farming in electric, in computer power, in having to cool all those computers and all that kind of stuff. So there's a high cost there. So it's still cheaper than this hypothetical cost that the
I mean,
merchants charge at 3.5%. I mean, that's just, they just made that up and agreed to it. It's like a giant monopoly.
yeah,
that
it's been,
charges you
yeah, but
3.5%.
look at the difference. Like we've been dealing with 3.5% forever. We deal with it.
It's
We
the
just
cost of
freaking
business.
deal with it. I mean, that's $94 per two, about $2,700. That ain't cheap change. When you add millions and trillions per day across the world, if not the country, that's a lot of cash. You know, now gas is different. Gas is basically, I look at it like, I'm an analogy girl. So if I live in Florida, and if I traveled to New York, I'm sure I would go over a few bridges, you know what I mean? Or a few toll bridges, and I'd have to pay a toll. Like right now, if I go to St. Pete Bridge Beach, I have to pass a toll. No, I got a little toll tag that I paid, whatever, but I got to pay a toll. It's like 99 cents or whatever. I think it's $2. So I go over, I pay my toll. Now, where is that money going to? That money is going to quote unquote the bridge or the private company that owns that particular highway, right? So when I'm moving money across the blockchain is like a road, right? It's the road. And someone says, okay, you know, someone the e-first goes, okay, I will move this money from this wallet, Heather's wallet, to Karen's wallet. No problem. The gas fee right now is where we're at based on supply and demand. And that's going to cost you about $9. And I'm like, okay. And it goes, like goes like that for you. So it's a toll. And this is the person that has built the infrastructure for that to happen, multiple people. And so they take a toll. They take a toll. They take a lot lower percentage though than Visa or MasterCard. That's the difference.
And the person that's taking the toll is the person that's doing the I just lost the word for it, but they're doing the verification through their computers. Yes. And so for those that don't know, so part of the infrastructure and the verification is being able to look at the history of the ownership of that to verify that that person actually owns it. That's just a little 101 on blockchain. So that's why it's because, like, back in my old days of working for IBM, Token Ring, anybody out there remember Token Ring? And so Token Ring was all the rage of a secure local area network because we wrapped verification zeros and ones around a piece of information. And then when it went to the other end, a signal came back and said, hey, it all got there safe. Right. And that was Token Ring. And there was Ethernet. Ethernet became the standard, but Token Ring was a more secure network. Right. And so, you know, I don't know who, I know the guy, I wonder if the guy that originally wrote Token Ring, it was his grandson that like started this. No, I'm just joking. But anyway.
But that's the same process.
It's the same concept. Yeah.
It's the same concept where there's a verification, but it's not a one company. It's a decentralization. And the price, the fee, we call it gas, which is GWEI. Do not tell me why they call it gas, but it's GWE.
Okay, that's what because before I was talking about gas. Like, is she talking about petroleum pricing?
Yeah, no, yeah. So no, and it's like a different language. When I first heard gas, I was like, what are y'all talking about? So gas means ghee, which is GWEI. And for some reason they call it gas. I think it's because it just makes sense. Like it's just a gas to get across the highway. So I think it's the human brain trying to make sense of this shit. But if you say gas, that's what it means. Okay. It's technically ghee. Some people call it ghee. How much is a ghee right now? Well, it's technically people just like call it gas. So if you go to Eartham Gas, I can actually give you the link if you like. And basically you can see what gas is at right now. So I can go check.
Okay. I got that. Okay. So
does that make sense?
Yeah. So explain, if you would, why is it?
Gas is really low right now. This is like really, really low. So it's at 39 right now, which is like, just to give you perspective, I'm actually kind of shocked. Why is it so low? Usually it's like, especially on a Friday, we're talking on a Friday around 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, New York time, which is the markets are open. So it just jumped to 44. Usually on a Friday, because there's a lot of transactions happening, I sometimes see 136 ghee or 200 ghee, right? So it just changed from 32 to 44 as we're talking. It's constantly moving. It's like this.
And then it's called system sets that based on the volume. So more volume, the higher cost.
Yeah, based on, so think of a supply demand. So if there's more volume on the blockchain, the price just goes up.
I remember the
If
word
there's like
mining. So there's more mining going on than
no,
the
not
cost.
mining, movement
Okay.
on using ETH. Specifically, this is ETH gas specifically, not necessarily Bitcoin, just depends.
Yeah.
So this is Ethereum gas tracker, which I'm reading. And by the way, you can go to etherscan.io/gas tracker. It just dropped to 41, and it really just depends on what's going on. Like about 2 weeks ago, there was a lot of things happening with Bitcoin. There was a sell-off, right, of ETH too. And so the price was extremely high. So a lot of people who do transactions that can wait, like there's a lot of transactions. If I said I'm going to send you 1 ETH and I look and the gas is high, I'm like, do you mind if I send it to you when like at 2 a.m. when it's low? You're like, you're like, why don't you send it to me? Right. So it's like, I could maybe wait till 2 or 3 in the morning, US time, Eastern time, when like traffic is low, as we call it, right? Traffic at the highways. And then I can send my transaction. But sometimes because the markets are open, you have to be doing things now. There is no time. Yeah.
So explain why NFTs are on Ethereum and not other yet, I guess. It was like, it was almost like, oh my God.
I don't know that one. I don't know the why. I don't know why.
Well, I read or heard on another podcast that it was designed in such a way that it was like they had foresight for this kind of a token to be traded on there versus it being like Bitcoin can modify itself to do it, but it wasn't set up that way to begin with.
Okay. See, that's a good one. I never asked that. Nor have I heard it. So I'm one of those, like, I don't know why. I just go with it. Like, how do I do? But it's a good question. It's valid. I don't know that answer. That's good. That makes sense. Because Bitcoin is like the original. I will say, so I had a friend, and I'm sharing these stories not out of like to make fun of people, but it's kind of funny. And so I had this friend who I'm literally on the phone with. She knows nothing, and I mean nothing about crypto, nothing. And she goes, "Yeah, there's a guy I'm talking to right now. He said that his father is the creator of ETH." I'm like, no, that's not even like possible or something. I was like, I'm sorry, he's just sitting there in front of you telling me his grandfather or his father is the creator of Ethereum. Yeah, I'm like, no, honey.
Yeah,
don't even. Like, that's like saying the creator of Bitcoin sitting next to you. I'm like, there is no necessary, like, it's not really a person, like there's a lot of theories on who or what a group of people of Toshi is, but I can't think of his name, or the actual letter started it. I just laugh about it. So there's a lot of things happening, right? Like people are like, who knows? But I think that the reason I'm a huge proponent of Bitcoin, I got into 2015, is I literally went to a conference in Dallas, sat there for 3 days with a bunch of guys, and I didn't know anything. And I sat there, and luckily the owner of the event said, "She's a guest of mine, be nice to her." So I would, they were, you talk about like, "What's your name?" Like, "Hi." And I'm very, me. I'm like, "Hi, what's your name?" And they're like, I don't say my real name. My name is like, I'm like, "Okay, Bear, where do you live?" I don't disclose where I live. I'm like, "Okay, well," so they weren't like what I call the most social animals. So they were, they were very nice when I would ask really stupid questions. Like, "Can you explain what the hell a wallet is? And what is Bitcoin?" They were very sweet, but they never disclosed their names. I never got any phone numbers, and I never got where they live, but they were just huge early adopters of Bitcoin. And what I've learned about that, because I'm considered a Bitcoin maximalist, and I still believe that, that Bitcoin is the original. Like, it's the thing, it's the one. That's why it's up. That's why it will, and there's only a limited amount, right? At certain times, it's going to be over time, and it's going to be done. So I'm a huge Bitcoin person. Almost everything I have is in Bitcoin, unless I move it to ETH to do transactions with NFTs. Until NFTs, I never, ever moved my money out of Bitcoin, because I'm a huge Bitcoin maximalist. All the other coins, minus ETH, all the other coins has what I call a person or company behind it. Does that make sense? Like, there's some company, group of guys usually, who have some LLC that said, "We're going to create the whatever coin, right? And then they have some entity that all that's kind of going into. Now, I'm not against that. I want people to make money, rally and Litecoin, all of them. But the whole point of Bitcoin, where there is no like entity, there's no government, there's no main LLC that's sitting there pulling in the cash from Bitcoin. People that own it obviously are, but it truly is a decentralized currency.
Right. Yeah. So I remember when Doge came out, or people going like the dog coin, where they're just going to make a coin that looks like a dog and somebody's going to buy it. Well, yeah, because just like you saw what happened with, the Reddit and driving all the stuff with, what was it, GameStop and these things, right? There's a community of, I don't know, digital savvy, usually younger than you and I, that just jump on these things, and then the jumping on it creates the value. There is no intrinsic value within whatever they jumped on. It's can you sell it to another person for more than what you bought it for, so you make money, because it's just always selling it to the next. It's the transactions that create the value in it. And then when companies, they started, people raising capital in a physical world using crypto, it's like it's a real, they tried to create a stable coin. The SEC has come out with some stuff for being able to give some guidance and regulation to it, but it's still all a mess. And the average investor, Joe, out there has because they have no idea how to understand it, they totally stay away. So it's sort of like a playground for creating wealth for folks that are very risk adverse, because, I love that commercial on, I forget which, again, I don't remember the name of the company, but the guy is like, oh, I'm rich, I'm a millionaire. And he's got the party and he's like, oh no, now I'm broke. And then he's at work and he's like, oh, but my Bitcoin's up and like, I'm a millionaire. And he's packing up his box. And then he's like, oh no, I'm not. Right. And because it fluctuates quite a bit. And part of, within the concept of Bitcoin, just on that, there was, because when it first came out on the early adopters, there's because a few years ago, one of the angel groups that I'm in, we did a deep dive in one of the guys that was real kind of an expert. And we had like all these white papers and the things like that. And they don't, when companies raising capital with, they don't do a private placement memorandum. They do a white paper on it, which is different concept for people that are traditional type of investors. And there's like a few hundred that were the original folks that own like 80% of the Bitcoin out there, a big chunk of the Bitcoin. And they have sort of like a gentleman's agreement, if you will, to not dump it because of the impact it has downstream with the people that, are trying to buy and invest and create the value in it by buying it. And so there's a sort of, this kind of a understood thing out there, and support, because then it would just drive, they would, by releasing those into the marketplace, since it's a limited quantity, it affects the value of everybody's coin, right? And so there's I've been interested to see, now that so much of like our world economy is tied up in so many, like these oligarchs likely have a lot of that kind of a crypto coin, where they're going to be cashing out because they need to get access to actual cash, or there's enough acceptance. I mean, there's a number of countries that have made, blockchain, Bitcoin as kind of their standard in their Mulvanes or something like that. I mean, there's a few countries that have done that, but it's because their own currency was so much trashed, right? They needed to their own currency couldn't be supported by their own economy. So by doing this, they helped to uplift their own economy. So let's for those folks that are just going, their heads are going, what, like this, and spinning around. We talked about that. Let's go back, if you will. We talked about the business opportunity, and it's going to be companies will provide like within supply chain, they'll be able to trace the origin of a product, whatever was done with that, where that was harvested, wherever that was. And if it's a unique, there's a lot of gray market, black market on some high end, goods and services, or goods, I should say. So it's going to protect the value, the origin, the tracing of that. Very powerful within pharmaceuticals as well.
Oh yeah.
Consumer product goods is going to be, so it protects it and it maps it all the way through the supply chain, where everybody along the way
Yes.
will add
Yes.
whatever they did to it. In manufacturing, like
Yes.
there's one of the companies my angel group invested in, we're waiting for them to have an exit so we can all make some money on it. But it was tracking the entire manufacturing process of a car, with a chip that's a smart chip. But now, so they didn't have to go to the cloud on a plane, on anything, on all the things that were on a plane and all that kind of stuff. This thing, and that it's almost going to be leapfrog now, as you described it, with the NFT holding that. And so instead of this smart RFID chip holding an encyclopedia worth of information over a 20-year period of time, now it's the NFT that is going to hold that information of everything in that manufacturing process, every repair that was done on it, every transaction of selling that product from this person to the next person. All of that stuff would now be in this non-fungible token, because it can't be modified and changed. And then somebody will get a key. Each person along the way gets a key to unlock that and look inside and see all of the history of that transaction or that product for verification and verification of value, verification of whatever. Okay.
Well, that's like another one. That's a good example. Just giving you another example is like a used car. Now we have you could run a report on it, but like
the blue book. What's the blue book on this? And what's
blue book? Or you can run to see there's how many times that we know that you have an accident, you don't report it. You know what I mean? Like, so this is very like everything. It's on the blockchain. There's no more company that we spend money with to go do that report. We just get the VIN number and go online and like click. So look, this is all new. I mean, I've been deep diving into this for 6 months, and I had someone reach out to me, a woman, I can't tell her age. I'm just going to guess in her 40s. She's got a daughter who's 19. And she's like, would you please get on the phone with her and tell my daughter about why she needs to get into this? And I said, you want to give me thousands of dollars? I've been spending thousands of dollars of my own education, 6.5 months of learning, deep diving, doing videos upon videos, getting into group coaching programs, paying for group coaching to understand this. And you want me to pick up a phone and talk to a 19-year-old girl that does not care. You can tell doesn't care, does no idea this is the largest disruptor in the history of our freaking world, but you want me to give my time, energy to them.
My daughter won't actually listen to this podcast. I just texted her that I was going to be doing a thing on it.
No, they won't listen. Right. But look, I was 19-year-old. Like you do not tell me what to do when I'm 19, Mom, seriously. But I get it. But yet there are 16-year-old kids right now who are making more money than their parents in NFTs. They are the smart ones, but majority of kids are like, whatever. And I've had 3 parents, that was just one in the last 2 weeks, who have literally said to me, will you talk to my kids? I'm like, have your kids pay me, because they will not pay attention unless they pay me. Well, then I can't. Okay. Well, then you figure out a way to punish them for it or whatever. But like, I'm just not, now I get it. I wish you and I both know. I mean, I wish someone had knocked me over the head in 2005 and said, start a YouTube channel now. And I didn't do it. I was like, oh, that YouTube. Someone's like, oh, that YouTube thing's going to go away. What? You know what I mean? Like stupid, right? Or like, oh, you should do this thing. I'm like, oh, that's going to go away. What? This is why I'm hopping on this, Karen. You and I have been around long enough. I'm 40 plus years old. Okay. I am around long enough to smell something that like, oh, this is good. You know what I mean? Like I am like, and if you can't figure that out, like I got it. Yeah. I want to support you, but like I'm off, because I missed a lot of opportunities in 2005 and 6 and 7, because I listened to stupid people saying, oh, that's Facebook's going away. Like that's a trend. NFTs, y'all, is not going away. And as of 24 hours ago, I have to pull up the exact time, but last 48 hours at least, Visa has pulled out of Russia. We all know we're in war, blah, blah. Not going to politics about that, but it is what it is. So Visa has pulled out of Russia. Okay, now they're doing that from a political standpoint, obviously, to punish, to show where their stance is, all that. But here's what they're doing. Just like all of us during COVID, we were forced to learn how to do Zoom really well. We were forced to learn quickly how to do audio and visual really well. We were forced to figure out all these things that we were not going to probably do in 2019 if everything went well in 2020, right? We're like, whatever. We were forced to do a lot of things new because the times changed. So what's going to happen out of that situation, I believe, is that Russia, their economy still has to move forward. So it's going to force innovation. And the innovation is going to happen. It's going to be, okay, Visa, you can take away our merchant across the entire country, which is, if you think about it, it's insane. But it's going to force us to create a system to be able to use Bitcoin. It's going to force it. It's going to force innovation. It's going to force small little businesses to create merchant with Bitcoin. It's going to force it. And when Russia creates people still have to eat. Okay. So when Russia creates a merchant from people with currency, a Bitcoin and ETH, or whatever the coin they choose, it could be a Russia coin, whatever, this is going to be a game changer across the world. And so with Visa doing that, to me, was a stupid mistake, because what they're doing is they're hurting their pocketbook, but they're helping themselves politically. But what they're doing is forcing innovation fast, very fast. And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
If it's not already, it's probably already happening right
That's
now.
the reason why I thought, I've been asking people, so what do you think is going to happen? Are you predicting a drop? Is it time to get in on Bitcoin because it's going to drop all of a sudden because people are liquidating it to put it into something else? And like,
people are buying Bitcoin.
Right. And then you buy it now because there are people that are trying to get value out of it because they need to be able to have a currency.
Now, my view, I'm not an investor and I'm not telling you to do anything. Okay. But the fact that Visa pulled out of y'all do understand how big Russia is? Do y'all understand? Large. It's not like Texas, y'all. It's like big. Okay. Completely pulled out of Russia. Think of all those small businesses. Okay. So what that did, I believe, because of that, it's only been 48 hours, it's going to shoot Bitcoin up. It's going to shoot it up because people are going to have to move their money from, is it rubles, right? Rubles into Bitcoin. That's my view. Whatever you choose is fine. That's my view. Because the economy still must move forward.
Yeah.
People still need to eat. They still need to buy bread and gas and whatever to live their life. And so it's going to move people right into the blockchain. It's going to move people right into coin. It wouldn't be surprised if the ruble all of a sudden becomes a different kind of currency on the blockchain. Like, that would be probably smart, if not already happening. And so people can actually just buy because that's already happening with the US. US is going to eventually come out with a US coin, if you will. Okay. A coin that's on the blockchain. So right now the USD is not necessarily on the blockchain. They're going to come out with a whatever United States coin, if you will, or whatever, the Biden coin, or I don't know. So
the Eagle coin. We're going to call it the Eagle coin.
Thank you. The Eagle. I don't want to call it Biden coin. It's not
no,
but the Eagle coin, right? The DC coin or whatever, right? America coin, something like that, because they need to get in the game. One, but two, it's a way for them to be able to keep some of the circulation, because people don't realize how many millions and trillions of dollars are being moved off the block, off of circulation, as they call it, in currency, and moving out. It's moving out of circulation into like this whole other world. And that's a big deal when you're taking money out of circulation, right? The banking system. So once you start to understand the economics. So one of the things I did, Karen, you'll laugh. So you know how we all went to lockdown, right? Everyone's like March 2020 in April, we're all just sitting there staring at Netflix. We're all just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? Right? So I got this email from this virtual university that they were giving all these ridiculous, like high-end master's degree courses for free. Like, here you go, and they had this one on the economy, and it was a master's degree program at the New York University, right? Cornell, I think.
Wow.
And it was master's degree level, and everyone in the room was getting an MBA in finance. And here I am. I'm not kidding. I had this huge 65-inch screen TV in my office, and I'm laying on the ground, like watching and learning from Cornell masters as students. And it was a really amazing, amazing program. Now, it had been done a couple of years. It was just a play. They'd already recorded it. But what it was is not to bore everybody, because it was fascinating. It took us back all the way. The professor took us all the way back of money, way back to World War I, the feds. How did the IRS get started? What is the Federal Reserve? How it all got started? How Chase was actually the one that funded World War II, and why he funded World War II, and how much money he made from funding World War II, and how much money we make as a country when there's war. He's going to how the banking system works, right? And how they make money and all these crazy things, taking them back all the way till, I think it was a 2018 course, right? And it was fascinating because I'm sitting there in 2020, right in April, when they're about to do the whole, give everyone $1,000, right? And give everyone these loans. And I'm like, wow, this is really fascinating to watch, because I was actually getting how much money the United States of America was making off of giving us $1,000, which doesn't make sense, but they are. So when you understand the economics of how money works and the feds and the IRS and this history, you can see why the stock market is a little upset that we are pulling money out of circulation. So that's the key.
Okay.
I know. Sorry, that was a little tangent.
No, but it was informative and it was really good. I love economics. That's the reason why.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, I'm at my undergrad was in economics. So
okay, yeah, you get, so you understand, if people understood how the engine works, then you can see why people are upset, or why people say don't buy Bitcoin. Meanwhile, they're buying a crap load of it, right? They're on CNBC, let me tell you why Bitcoin's horrible. Meanwhile, they have
oh yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to do a study that maps the fluctuation of the stock market with the fluctuation of Bitcoin, or a hybrid of coins, to see, because I have a prediction. My theory on that is that all of the major money people, all the movers and shakers that create the value in the stock market, because it is also artificial in a lot of the value of what is in the stock market. It's all about, I call money is like a river. In my book, I talk about how money is this river, and it will find a way. It has its own life to it, and it'll find a way to move to where it is most happy, if you will. So you can predict things that are happening with the real estate bubble, when that collapsed, even the .com bubble. You can see, and I talk about it in the book, and the money, and how the money goes like this, right? So people, when they have to maintain a certain value of a portfolio, right? Because they're the big billion-dollar hedge funds and things like that, they will move money from this crypto in order to support the overall value, because whatever they were in that stock dropped, and they have to play this game of keeping it up, right? And so it's but nobody really tracks that, because they don't want people to really understand. They want people to think crypto is this maverick rebel, all that kind of stuff. But it is so intertwined. Even though it's digital, it's so intertwined with our world trade and our world commerce. It absolutely is.
Yeah. No, I love it. Do you watch the show Billions?
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah. What I love about Billions and Ozark, because I'm a fan of both, is I rewatched Ozark. It's one of those I have a few days, I'll just Ozark. That's so sad. Anyway, I did watch Ozark. The reason I love Ozarks is because because once you get the plot, then when you rewatch it, you pick up new stuff. They literally teach you how to do money laundering. like
Oh, yeah.
literally
Yeah.
A to Z.
Oh, I
Exactly,
know.
like the LLC to get, how to get the LLC, what bank accounts to get, where to get the, like they literally lay out this roadmap. Like, here's how you money launder.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
it's fascinating.
So many times I'll go into a place and I'll go, okay, this must be a money laundering front because there is no way this business is staying in business with this right here. This has got to be a money laundering front. My daughter worked at a diner that was owned by these some Russian descendants. They used to sit in
Right.
the corner, kind of like almost like a Sopranos, except they weren't Italian. And it was, they paid everybody in cash. Like she never got a paycheck. Right. And they did not report any of that to the IRS because she never got a W-2 either. Right. And so, I was like, that was totally a money laundering operation.
Like, honey, you're working for the mob.
Like
You do realize
downtown
you're working
Atlanta,
for the-
downtown Atlanta, and so it's like,
There's a, just to give, this is so funny. I don't know why I'd think of this. So I live in St. Pete downtown. It's gorgeous. It's right on the water. It's beautiful. But as you get closer to the water, obviously real estate gets more expensive. And of course, commercial space gets more expensive. And my chiropractor is right near the water, but in an office building, you have to like go up these buildings and go inside, right? Because they have a little office. And she goes, have you noticed the two buildings that are literally on Beach Drive, which is near the waterfront? Beautiful front, like all glass retail space, like Chris 5A on the main Beach Drive. Okay. One of them is this guy I went into once. It has all these trinkets, and he sits way in the back, and like no one's ever in the store, and he's Russian and he won't talk to you. Right. I looked one time, like there was a trinket. I'm like, how much? She's like, oh. And I'm like, okay. And then across the street, literally across the street, is this guy who has, and I'm in Florida, who has these beautiful leather from Italy jackets. It's Florida, y'all. Okay. It's 80. Okay. And so I walk in and I'm like, hi. He's like, oh, hello. No one's ever in there. And it is a beautiful store, right? And he's the only person ever there. There's no one ever else there. And so everyone around there, like the small business, is like, okay, it's definitely arms. It's got to be arms dealers, or it's going to be like freaking money laundering. Because like no one ever goes in there. No one ever wants to go in there. But they have like prime real estate. So it's really interesting. Like, yeah, you just, I don't know why I love that kind of stuff, but and yes, NFTs, it is easy to money launder with NFTs. Let's be real. But they've been money laundering with art for a very long time. So it does make it a little easier. That will change, I'm sure.
Well, more with crypto than NFTs within the idea of the context of it's a container of something, right? So,
yes.
Well, we did not get into the area of NFTs that I was planned on talking about.
What do you want? The
we're almost out of time, right? So,
okay,
we might have to come
coaching
back
consulting really quick. I'm sorry, I apologize.
No,
but I really wanted to,
yeah,
coaching consulting.
Yeah, you're helping people. Like if I wanted to create an NFT for my angel group that everybody has their own, and they can also sell, and in exchange.
Yes. So what you would do is, what you do is you create the Karen NFT, if you will. All right. And let's say you launch 100, just like 100. All right. And you say, I'm going to launch them only 100 NFTs. You can buy more than one, max 2. And I'm going to start off, because what you're going to get is you're going to get 2 years with me in a mastermind and all these 100 people. And I'm going to start off at 0.5 ETH. All right. So you're going to do 0.5 ETH, which let me give you an understanding what that is. So ETH calculator. All right, here we go. So ETH calculator. Why is it not doing? Okay, here we go. So 0.5 ETH right now is $1,289. Okay. So 0.5. So we have 0.5, course times what, 100 did I say? So see, 0.5 times 100, that's a 50. So you have 50 ETH. So that 50 ETH is $128,000. $130,000 US right now. That could go up. Okay. So you have $130,000 that you're paid for 100 people that can come to a mastermind. Now let's say 10% of the 100, so that's 10, right? 10 actually decide to sell them for 1 ETH. So that's 10 ETH. So that's another $25,000. And of that $25,000, you say, I want to have 10% royalty, right? So again, that's another, let's see, 25,000, that's another $3,000 to your bottom line. So every single time someone sells one, right, then you would make 10%. Another way to say this, every time someone sells 1 ETH, you make $260.
Right. And then within that contract for that NFT, then in that person that they sold to, and then that person sells it, you get a royalty on that as well, just like you would on a song, if you will. Every time somebody played the song or performed the song, you would get a royalty. But in this case, it's something, it's a it's product that you've created within the digital concept. And it may exist outside in a physical world too, but there still is only one of them. That's the thing I think people, the non-fungible part of that means that there's only one of them and it has its own unique value. A Babe Ruth trading card is worth something, a Mickey Mantle trading card is worth something, and you can trade them, but they each only are worth what they are worth. They are not the same, like the $10 example that you gave at the beginning.
Exactly. But that's how you use it for mastermind or consulting.
Yeah.
Some people are using this for high ticket coaching consulting, where you buy one and you have coaching for X amount of time. I'll give you examples so that I think would have been a good one for they did. So you ever heard of the War Room with digital marketer Brian and Perry? Don't. Okay. No. All right. Well, so I was part of the original War Room back in like 2012. There was only 12 of us, and I think we each paid like 10K at the time. As of right now, the last I heard, I'm no longer part of the program. I think I was in it for 2 years, right? So like after a while, you're like, you miss your friends, but you're like, oh, we're good, right? $10,000 a year, you're like, eh. So now it's $50,000 to be part of it. Okay. So imagine instead of doing each thing, they said, okay, we're going to have 100 seats. We're going to sell each right now at whatever $10,000 US was at the time for ETH, right? I purchase it. I am in it for like 2 or 3 years. And then I'm kind of like, I'm done. I just don't do it anymore. I could sell it for 15,000. I can make money.
So your membership itself becomes the token of value.
Yeah. What if I held on to it for all those years and now it's worth 50? And I'm like, hell yeah, here I'll sell to you for $30,000. I made money on being part of a mastermind. What? And now they make it's called secondary, so they make money as well when I sell it. This guy gets in for 30,000. A brand new one's 50,000, whatever, right? So you can see where there could be a legacy to it.
Yep. So I had yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And and what's interesting, I was at the startup battle. It's now called Startup Showdown. It was a pitch event, 120 grand being invested in the winner. And there was a company there that it was like, he basically was creating a game of NFTs that's a racetrack where everybody has their own car that they buy, and then they can trick it out and stuff like that. And then there's things, but they have this car, and it was, and like you could just see the glazed eyes over everybody in the audience, going like, NFT, what? Like too soon, you know what I mean? And it was like this virtual meta game, like you're in it in a virtual reality with these cars, but they're also NFTs because everybody's car is unique within this metaverse, right? And I'm like, okay. And so the idea where that gets is that then that virtual car becomes a real car, or like a Thomas Kincaid. He was always known for his little sparkle. So his original picture is one of a kind, but you could create a digital image of that is one of a kind that actually sparkles, right? It actually has like that on it. And people say, oh, well, I could just, right click it and download it like a GIF. Well, yeah, but you can't own it and you can't make money on it and you can't sell it. It's only the original owner. Now, and Thomas Kincaid, for example, would get money every time it got sold, but it creates its own life within the digital world of value on the art side.
Right. Now that makes sense. And it's huge value. It's huge value in the art world. You know, I said earlier, like, that's wrong. But like, I know there's huge value in the art world. I just think that there's now this whole nother level that's being created. And artists are hopefully getting paid. Some are not getting paid. There's a lot of drama with that. Crypto Chicks is having some issues going on right now. I don't know if you heard about what happened there, but come to find out, Crypto Chicks is a pretty big project, or was, and found out that the owners of Crypto Chicks is like 3 or 4 Russian dudes. Shocker. Yeah. And so then they quote unquote hired this young girl who's like 23 years old, nothing wrong with young girls, but doesn't know how to lead, lead a team, lead a community, lead entrepreneurship. She was like a nail tech and she was cute, and they gave her the CEO title. So she's not doing a very good job of leading the community. She's not even the owner of the project.
Yeah.
And found out that the original art was stolen.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So now that,
good job, guys.
That you just opened up another door there. How can the original art be stolen if it's created for an NFT?
So I can get you the name of the original artist because he's out. I think it's a she is out there like talking about it on Twitter, trying to like get. She's even owned the NFT. They stole the art from her. I think it's a her. And don't quote me, I gotta go find it. It's a her. And so they're out there talking about it. And people are backing this artist up. She's getting 0%. So they took her sketches and created all of that. They took her sketches like that she's been doing for a while, took that and go, oh, we're going to create this as the art. Okay. So here's these Russian guys who stole the art, stole that it was female, and completely stole the whole thing, and said it was this for unbounded women, this whole thing completely stolen. And they even stole the graphics from the New York Giants.
Right. And even when you sell an NFT, it doesn't change the copyright. So if she had copyright or could prove it, but that's really kind of a US thing. When it comes to world, intellectual property rights, there's a lot of countries that don't recognize.
There is. And it's scary because here's an artist who if you see the art, it's like, oh, this is her art. They just didn't like put her in the contract. They didn't even buy it from her. They didn't say, we're gonna buy it from you. They just like stole it. They didn't even like put her in the contract, or you get a creator fee, or we know this is your art. Can we use the art? It's just 100% stolen. So it's an interesting thing because she had not NFT'd her work yet. Right. So it's something to look at. Like there's all these new things happening, and it's just on the cutting edge. So I appreciate you having me. I appreciate us having this deep conversation, because I think that it's necessary. And I just want people, especially women, to lean in.
Yes.
Lean in.
Like
it's confusing. It makes no sense. It's like Spanish, but cerveza, you got to lean in and be like, ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien, baño. You just got to go in there and lean in. That's why when that lovely woman reached out to me, I said, look, nothing against your daughter, who obviously doesn't care that mommy is trying to help her. So what about you? What about you? Why are you not an NFT? She's like, oh, I'm older. I'm like, why do you act like you're older? You're dead or something? Like, what is that? I'm like, girl, let's talk. Let's get you in. And your daughter will follow.
Yeah, my daughter New Year's Eve on her Instagram, she's like, "Hey, what up? Anybody know about Bitcoin? Hit me up." I'm like, "Oh my God." She doesn't know anything about Bitcoin. I mean, she won't. Unfortunately, she's not going to listen to this. But it's like, I'm like, "Honey, let me send you some links and let you get educated. You want to read? I got an encyclopedia worth of content on this stuff to learn
do you
about."
know who your mother is? Like, I should text her. Like, do you know who your mother is? Like, do you realize? Like, how
Hit
smart
me
your mother is.
up. Hit me
Like,
up.
hit me up. Like, how about hit your mom up? Like, yo, like.
Well, thank you for that.
So, dear one, if you're listening, probably not. Your mother is kind of a badass and as smart as shit. So overlook the age because it's ridiculous. She's actually smarter than me. Can we just be real?
With
She'll never
that,
listen to this,
I know. With that,
but I understand that because people like I'm 45, right? And I think I'm one of the oldest people in one of the groups. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, dude,
okay, let me join. Then I can be the older one.
Okay, you can join. I'm more than happy to be going in. I'm one of the few women in there. You're welcome to come in. In fact, I'll connect you when we get off. But it's where I'm learning everything, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and you're like, oh my God, I'm 40. I'm like,
wait till you're
whatever.
50. You'll be going like, oh, look at all, you know what I mean? It's like you reset your expectations on what is old as you age.
Right. All I know is I'm leaning in, and if I have to lie about my age, so be it. Like, so be it. I just so be it. I will get more Botox and I will just lie about my age because I'm not missing out on this revolution, my love. I am not missing out on this
No,
change.
me neither.
of
No,
the-
I'm embracing it. I'm leaning in. I am going to create. I have an intention within my world of what I'm creating with the inside secrets to angel investing and the angel investor and bring it like, yeah, it's
yeah.
we're gonna be trailblazers on that, relatively speaking, when they look back 5 years from now, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, okay, so we're going to send people to go to the show notes to get the LinkedIn contact
Yes.
for Heather. Do you mention that you do a lot of videos on this? Do you have a YouTube channel that people can go and watch you talk about this kind of stuff?
I do a lot of right now. My videos on this is TikTok.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll actually download TikTok then. I get the feeds and I always open it up in Chrome because I don't want to watch some of the stuff that is more known on TikTok.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Yeah, this year I have learned a lot. I hired a TikTok coach. I've hired a YouTube coach too, but really my TikTok coach, I've been leaning into that and using NFTs around TikTok. So
what's your TikTok handle, or is that the right
Heather
word?
Havenwood.
Oh, so your
Heather
name. Good.
Havenwood.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, consistent branding, Heather.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I've leaned in. It's awkward. I'm not gonna lie, being someone who does that, but I've learned a lot. TikTok is it's one of those things. Like, I just was talking to this girl the other day. She's smart as hell. She's a doctor and she's over this huge hospital in Boston. Like, the woman's brilliant. She's a pediatrician. I think she's in her 40s at this point, maybe 50s. And she wants to start her own business in health and well-being or whatever. And so we're like, you need to get on TikTok. Like, you're funny. And she's like, oh, my daughter would kill me if I'm on TikTok. I'm like, is your daughter paying your bills? No. Okay, well then get on TikTok. Like, get over it. Tell your daughter to get over herself and not to follow you. Why is it that these kids are controlling 45-year-old women? Like, I don't know what's happening. So I'm like, no, your daughter needs to let it go. Just tell her not to look at you. And but I think the people that are in their 40s who are leaning in are gonna win. The ones who are like, I'm too old for that. They're like, you're missing out, y'all.
Never too old.
I know what it feels like to miss out. I know what it feels like. It's so cringing knowing that I missed out on YouTube in 2005. It hurts my stomach. It's like, and I'm not going to let that happen, even though it's weird and awkward and it makes no sense half the time. And I'm having to constantly understand and ask stupid questions. I'm not going to look back 10 years from now and go, God, I wish you got an NFTs. I'm just not. I'm just not. So.
All right.
And I'll tell you how I got into it. I got into now different level, but I'll tell you, and this is a shout out to Rachel Esley, who's, I got into her coaching program right in 2020. Her coaching program was around marketing. Like, under coaching program, she was teaching marketing and funnels and some cool stuff. And I was doing that with her and challenges and all kinds of stuff. So I did learn a lot. In the middle of 2020, like late 2020, she just ended the coaching program. getting it. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, going all into NFTs. I'm like, you're doing what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I was so shocked. She spent so much energy, so much time. And then her and I actually roomed together. We became roomies at the ClickFunnels event in October 2021 in Orlando. And I was like, what are you doing, girl? She's like, I'm all in NFTs, girl. She shut down her entire coaching business, her consulting business. And yeah, she's all in.
But
And
she's not using NFTs for a mastermind like you had described. She's just creating
right now
and
she's
selling.
just been investing. She's just been investing. And so, but I got to call her because we're friends now. And I just went to her YouTube where she had lots about marketing and coaching, and she's just started to do stuff on NFT. So I'm just like 6 months behind her. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, I'm just turning the tide. It's like, you know, and it's scary because I've been on marketing for so long that it's like, do I do this turn? But I see her doing it and she just went like, okay, boom. And she's like, this is where I'm going. And I think that's what you have to do when you know the market is where it's at. You just have to turn the damn ship and just trust it.
I think that's excellent point to end our lively conversation. Always a delight to talk with you, Heather, and hear whatever is the latest and greatest and an exciting this, that, or the other. And I mean, my mind is spinning. And we covered a lot of ground, and really excited to take what I knew about the value of blockchain from a business standpoint and put it within the context of the commercial value of an NFT that's not just some yacht monkey. And so I appreciate you jumping on here with us, and everybody, please, folks out there listening to this, share this. Go share this on your social media. Go send it in an email to somebody and give us the 5 stars and tell us what impact this had on your mind and your thought about your business going forward.
Send this to every 19-year-old, every 19-year-old
yeah.
daughter. And just say your mama is more smarter than you. She's smart. She's smarter than you. So like, look, I get that. I'll end here because I just got back from Austin, just visiting my sister who's a VP of Visa, right? And whenever I talk to her about Bitcoin or anything, she acts like she knows. I go, oh, I knew that. I knew that. Because I'm the little sister. I'm the little sister that can know nothing more than the big sister. Meanwhile, I know she knows nothing because she doesn't have any money in NFTs or Bitcoin. She never. I told her for Christmas I was going to send her an NFT for Christmas. She's like, yeah. I don't even know what that is. So it's the little sister and the mom thing, right? It has nothing to do with actual truth. Yeah. It's just like, you cannot know more than me. I am the mother. I'm the daughter.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm sitting there at the Super Bowl and I see the QR code bouncing on the screen, and I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. Everybody's looking at this, and I'm trying to get my phone to like, okay, because I can't so I can take a picture of it and see where it because it had.
Me too. I was like.
It's like, and I got like half of it, but fortunately, Google Lens figured out what that half of the QR code was. And, Coinbase, it's like, how brilliant is that? It had nothing on there that said Coinbase. Talk about the ultimate curiosity marketing campaign, and how many, it shut down their servers. Everybody were like, I got my $15 to get started in, setting up my wallet. And I'm still in the running for the $1 million prize.
Right. But I was at a bar. I was at a bar, and the smart people were doing this. Oh. And the dumb people were like, what is that?
Yeah. I know everybody's partying around me. I'm like, I got my phone out there, and I'm like, because I was fortunate. I was like, oh, and they're like, what are you doing, Karen? I go, I'm trying to capture this QR code.
It's the same thing. I did the same thing. I'm like, oh, at the bar. And then people were like, what are you doing? I'm like, did you not see the code? You got to get the
code. I had no idea what it was. I'm like, well, I'm pretty certain it's not a spam or a spyware or something, because they wouldn't pay $1 million to do that on Super Bowl to bounce.
It's Coinbase. that's brilliant. It's like, I mean, I said it was brilliant. The moment is, oh my God, like, did y'all get it? Did y'all get it? It's Coinbase. And they're like, no.
I know. I'm like, you
Like,
all
I know who I'm around.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Heather. Onwards
You're
and
welcome.
upwards, everybody. And we'll see you on the other side.